Starting.
There we
Oh,
go.
this is live. We are live. Woo!
Live. Excellent. Well, thanks for meeting with me, Josh. I know that this configuration is taken quite a little bit of setup, so I appreciate your patience in helping me with this.
Hey, at least I learned something new, I guess. I mean,
That's
whatever.
right.
Woo!
See, you got all sorts of new information now.
Oh, yeah. Man,
Okay, so
brain.
what
Okay.
what are we talking about today? What's on your mind?
Well, I'm really glad we could actually meet because I don't know, it just feels like such an exhausting and long week to me. Um, the biggest issue is just work again. It doesn't seem like anything's getting any better there. I've got this huge, major project that's due in a couple of weeks and just feeling overwhelmed with it. But then anybody else it's more my project, but you have to pull in other people once in a while. And they just seem annoying or unhelpful or they just irritate me. And I'm getting far too overwhelmed with what's got to go on because it's such a major deal for work and then for my family with that.
So it sounds like you're feeling a little bit spread thin between all of your responsibilities, and it's causing you to be overwhelmed.
Spread thin is a unique way to look at that. Yeah, yeah. I didn't think one activity like this could spread me so thin. It's exhausting. I'll be happy when it's over in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and these kind of projects, now you say that you have to pull other people in. Is that what's that like for your stress?
I I personally I think it's the most stressful part of the job because I can do the majority of the work. I can do my own thing, use my own thoughts, creating everything I need to. But then when I've got to sit there and wait for somebody to reply back to an email that I sent them 3 days ago and they haven't responded back, I have no idea what their status is. I don't even know if they got the email, because they haven't replied or nothing. And their piece isn't major, but their piece, their information they can send me would allow my project to move up to the next step or next couple of levels. But I can't do anything anymore until they respond back. And they've already had 3 days and they haven't done anything. So I'm just sitting here wasting my day away, hoping that they'll send me a reply back.
So what's the support like for you from teachers?
Um, my work supervisors are, they're supportive enough to say, just have a little bit of patience. When the information comes in, you'll have to just work hard to get it completed. But they know they can't do anything about it, so I feel like they're not stressed over it. It's my work, it's my assignment that needs to be taken care of. And so I guess I feel their support, but their support doesn't really matter much because they can't do anything about it.
Okay. So sounds like there's two things. One, it's almost you're feeling a little isolated in this, like you're on your own.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that same coin, the teachers and support systems don't seem to be, or your supervisors, your work supervisors sounds like as well, don't seem to be as able to help you. That's how you're seeing things.
Yeah, yeah, I am. I'm sure they would. I mean, they've given me advice before I've gotten this far. My supervisors have provided me with so much material and sources to go to and everything. I've gathered that all together, and so now it's just having to wait on these different people to get back with responses or to give me the next chunk of information. And so my supervisors, I guess, have kind of done whatever they could up to this point, and so now it's on me, and so I feel that isolation. I feel distraught because it's my project, but I'm out of control with it. I've got no way of. I can't just go and send them another email because it hasn't done any good. But I can't just go pound on their door demanding to get the information I need either. So
Mm.
I don't know how I'm supposed to finish this project in time.
And so that's another piece that seems to be coming to light to me here, is that sounds like you have a worry that you're maybe that you don't feel like you're going to be able to do this by yourself.
I I don't know. I I thought I could, and I knew it would be. It's a very large task. I complete this task, and it would put the company in the limelight. It would make them look, whoa, draw everybody's attention to them. And then with that, it would give me a promotion that I haven't had for 5, 6 years now. And I mean, that promotion would be a huge support for my family, and it would allow me to do other tasks more on my own without so much supervision at work. And so I'm really wanting this to be completed, and I I don't know. Maybe I just need to have more patience or something. I don't know.
And you're feeling as though if you had more patience, then maybe these other feelings wouldn't be so strong.
I guess. I don't know. Because there's nothing I can do. I don't think there's anything I can do. So I guess the only thing I can do is just be more patient and wait for the information that I need. But I like, even though it's due in 2 weeks, I like my stuff done earlier if possible. And I mean, if they take another 2 or 3 days to get to me, that would still give me a week to work on the project. But and I could probably get it done in that week's time. It just isn't how I want it done. It's not prioritizing how I want things prioritized.
I see. That makes sense. I mean, when you care about something a lot and doing well is important to you, it's totally normal to feel stressed out, and especially when you're used to getting things done in a particular way. I can see how it would be very important to you to be able to stick to your deadlines and standards that you set for yourself.
I don't know. Am I just an overachiever? I mean, am I a perfectionist because I want to make this so perfect and I want it done early in time? Does that make me a perfectionist and overachiever?
Well, I think that you're definitely the one best suited to explore that here right now. I think that you've got a lot of strengths in achieving things. That's for sure. I think that your work ethic drives you to accomplish a lot. From what we've talked about in the past, it definitely sounds like you're a driven individual. But I'm curious as to why you brought that up. So I'd like to talk about that. What are your thoughts? What do you think about being a perfectionist, as you called it?
I don't know. I never thought I was, and then the last few years, it seems like not only do projects have to be done, they have to be done with every minute detail, and they have to be perfect. If I'm not getting the highest score out of everybody, out of all my coworkers, then it means that I'm not going to be able to be given the next task. And yet my coworkers, they get, how do you want to put, they get average or a little better than average, grades or scores on their projects, and yet they're given a new task. But I feel like if I even if I'm not um, perfect in every little step, and if it's not completely done how I think it has to be, then it's not. I'm not going to be able to to move forward with anything.
I see. So that takes me back to what we were talking about earlier. Success is important to you, and
Mhm.
that's it's definitely not a bad thing. I
You
think
know,
that it's good to really strive to do well, and it's clear that you do that. Um, but it does sound like there's some distress that comes into your life because of how important succeeding is to you and how well you feel you're measuring up to others. Do you,
yeah.
what are your thoughts there about how you see others achieving affect how you feel about your achievement?
I I don't know. It's this project especially really taken me away from my family a lot, and I think that when it's done, I think this will be the greatest work that I've ever created.
Okay.
But I feel like I'm a family person, and it feels like so much of this has been taken away. So is my family looking at me like I'm ditching them, spending more time at work, or do they feel like this would be a huge task because it is, and they would recognize as that, and when it's over, things can kind of go back to how they were, and I spend more time with the family, or do they think that I'm too much of a workaholic, and
Mm,
you know like today the emails haven't come in, so should I just go home and spend time with my family, or sit here trying to do minute items to, wait for that email to come in. And when it does, then I can spend the rest of my day fulfilling tasks that need to be done.
I see. And there's a little bit in there of a tug of war, sounds like. You have a lot of important things to you, priorities of doing well at your job, priorities at home, and it leaves you feeling conflicted.
I'm exhausted from it now too. It's
Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah. I don't know. I guess I feel like I am a perfectionist. Feels like I don't want to be though. I want to spend time with my kids. I want to be able to have this job really mean something, but to be able to balance my life as well. not sure how to do that right now.
I think you've made some excellent observations. I find it interesting that you call yourself a perfectionist, and you say as well that you don't want to be. Noticing that, again, there's a theme there. There's some conflict. You're kind of being pulled in different directions. But with this specifically, you see yourself as something that you don't want to be.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder how that affects everything else.
What do you mean?
Well, you want to do well at your job. You want to do well at home. But your efforts to do that create this idea that maybe you're a perfectionist. But at the same time, maybe the observations that you have make you feel a little bit guilty about not doing as well as you'd like in either of those because you're pulled in through different directions. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely see a lot of guilt in myself. I see that I've got these values that I cherish dearly, and both of them are excellent values. I mean, hard work is something I try to instill in my children, and it's something I try to show them. But too much hard work could take away from being with family, and you know that's important as well, and it's important to me. And so this project is really starting to pull me into two opposite directions, and it feels like I have to choose one over the other, or I guess more like one's getting pulled more than the other one's falling away more. Then if I choose to go closer to, say, my family, then that means that work is being dropped off more.
So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's what it feels
Well,
like.
if work is the rock and the hard place is the family, yeah, I guess so.
We would hope that, the family and work are maybe not. Maybe that's not such a great analogy, but it's you're stuck balancing between two different things that are really important to you, and at the same time feeling as though you're falling down with both of them. That's a hard place to be. So I'd love to talk more about this. We're almost out of time today, so I kind of want to review what we talked about and see what your thoughts are before we wrap it up and then go into next week. So we started off talking about how there's a lot of stress, and maybe didn't have a whole lot of clarity as to where the stress was coming from. I feel like by the end of our time together today, we identified maybe some really good things that we can work on going forward. And that includes, noticed a few themes emerge. One, there's some conflict internally within you that we talked about, that desire to do well at home, to be the dad and be the husband and everything that you want to be at home. And then you also want to make sure that you're really putting in your best foot forward with work as well. And at the same time, you feel so pulled in both of those directions. You feel like you have to measure up in both of those different parts of your life to such a degree that you feel like you're falling short to an unacceptable degree in both of them. And that's causing you to feel. The other theme that I've noticed is there's some guilt, and that guilt is causing almost a little bit of a cycle, maybe. I wonder if there's maybe some compensation going on there, where because of that guilt, you want to try harder in both of those different directions, and the harder you push in both those different directions, the more tension there is for you. What do you think? Would that sum it up?
Yeah, it does. I think it's really nice being able to talk with somebody that can really understand. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, there is guilt. There is that feeling of being pulled in two different directions. Both of them are good directions, but they both kind of pulled each other up in opposite ways right now, and it does cause guilt. It causes a lot of stress, and it's just nice being able to have somebody understand that.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that we were able to talk about this, Steve, because it helps to lay these things out and to realize, you know, that maybe some of the things that we struggle with are actually, they're coming from good things that we want, and it's not just that we're bad people or anything like that, because that's not true.
Yeah.
You're really trying hard with a lot of really good things, and you've got a lot of strengths. You know, you've got a lot. You're a hard worker. It's just hard, you know, when you're a dad and a husband and a great employee. So we'll figure this out a little bit more next time we talk. It'll be. I'd like to pursue those themes, and if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, please.
All right. Well, thanks, Josh. Anything else would like to chat about before we end?
No, I appreciate you listening to what I'm going through right now.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. And scene.